Okay, we'll start with market limitations and failures that you might see in a laissez-faire economy where it's a free market. Uh, Information asymmetry situations when one party has more information or better information than the other party. Your book correctly mentions this happens with the used car market. When you go to buy a used car, only the used car dealer has the best information about that particular vehicle, whether or not the mileage is correct, if it's had any type of problems in the past, or especially current problems. You're operating at an information disadvantage, and this is considered a market failure for the reason that you might get took by the used car dealer, and it's considered you ended up buying a lemon. So they've also called this the free market situation of used cars, the market for lemons. There have been attempts and private sector groups that have come together like Carfax to try to overcome this market limitation. Okay. And the last type of situation that tends to create market failures is when transaction costs. For example, when we talked about the stadium or the arena being built here in El Paso, transactions, the cost incurred during the production and decision phase of decision making for that particular policy. So transaction costs with the arena would be getting the information out to the voters and the referendum to issue the bonds. There's also bargaining costs into transaction costs, with the cities having to bargain owners to determine what to buy the property for, bargaining for the sale of the properties. So each of these situations tend to limit markets and create market failures. We will especially look at negative externalities next to policy. There are a number of ways to remedy market failures, and three of the common remedies I will list here. One is regulation. So when a market fails, say in the market for free air or clean water, you have manufacturing companies over-polluting the water in a laissez-faire free market system, what can happen? Government can come in and regulate that negative externality or whatever the government's producing that's going to impose fines. Okay. They can create a cap. This is how much you're allowed to pollute. Above that, you're going to get a penalty and a fine. So that's one way government steps in and establishes policies to overcome market failures. Second is the government just provides a service. We tend to see this government provision of a policy or a good with healthcare. If you're operating in the free market for healthcare, you get a situation where insurance companies will not provide healthcare for elderly. Why? Well, because they're more likely to have health problems, and the insurance companies are there to make a profit, and they don't want to take on individuals that are going to end up costing them a lot of money. So when you have this situation, it's considered a market failure. Can't get, or a lot of elderly can't afford private health care because the insurance companies won't sell it to them. So the government steps in and then provides it, usually through taxpayer dollars, and here's the case with Medicare. Government-funded program, and you can also consider Obamacare, government provision to some extent. The situation existed where the Obama administration believed that the healthcare market was failing a large swath of the population. A government-provided healthcare option to help those to where the insurance companies are not providing healthcare for them. We see this very, very interestingly with pre-existing conditions. There was a lot of discussion about that during the Obamacare debate. A lot of private insurance companies would not provide insurance to individuals with pre-existing. Well, that's more cost for the insurance company. So Obama and Democrats at that time believed that was an example of a market failure and came up with a government healthcare system for those that wanted to buy into it, or if they didn't want to, they either got the private insurance or they paid a fine. And the last thing is subsidies. Sometimes a market, especially does not work or it fails. And this is the case with the corn market. Farmers are disincentivized from overproducing corn because, well, when you have a glut of corn on the market, then then the price goes down and they make less money. The government may believe that we need to produce more corn, specifically for, say, ethanol production for gasoline. So in Iowa, where they grow a lot of corn, farmers might not want to because they're not going to get a good price for it. Price is going to go down. So the government will step in and provide a subsidy or an incentive for them to produce, and so they will compensate the farmers through a subsidy for producing more corn for ethanol production. Realize that most of these attempts to overcome market failures involve some sort of government. And the government providing a subsidy, money to individuals through taxpayer dollars, the government providing some sort of service like Medicare, Medicaid, Obamacare, taxpayer dollars, or regulation where the government steps in with a heavy hand and says you will or will not do these activities, and if you violate our regulations, you will be fined. But we will cover much more in detail next week with environmental policies where we'll see a lot of these come into play.